ladies and gentlemen, to round 3 of the AMS Oz Super Series. I'm in the commentary box. It's Nether here. You may remember me from last week. A little cameo with Stairs, and unfortunately he's not here tonight. Other real-life commitments taking priority, but nonetheless we'll do the best to bring you all the action from here at Goiania, in the Goiania province of Brazil. A little 2 1/3 mile bull ring, 13 turns, quite a little tricky track. We're just in the last 3 or 4 minutes of practice here. You're on board, on the trackside rather, just looking at Hobbo cutting some laps, late arrival into the server. But don't go anywhere, because we will be bringing you qualifying very shortly for race number 1. Ladies and gentlemen, you wouldn't believe it. Look what the cat dragged in. Just a few minutes ago we were talking that Stairs wasn't going to be coming along because of real life commitments, but now he's here. Welcome, Stairs.
Well, good to be here, Nether.
And what activities have you managed to wriggle yourself out of on this fine evening to join me in the commentary box?
Well, we're actually doing commentary for upcoming ARW series, the Formula One 2017s, and the Dirt Rally, and we're actually done. We finished early. So Bagsy and I believe Madbird were interested in hearing my my voice since I'm in form. I was actually interested in doing a bit of a lap of the track in practice. It was if there was a minute or two left before we get into the commentary, to see if I can get myself a bit of knowledge.
Oh, wonderful. Unfortunately, we've only got about 40 seconds left in the practice session, but you won't get to do that lap. There actually have been quite a few late arrivals into the server. We're just looking at one of them now on screen, Hobbo, and just as I cut to him, commentator's curse, as per usual.
Oh, no.
Goes, gathers it up, gets himself off the track, though, out of the way, not to spoil anybody else's lap. I did it a few times last week, didn't I? Put the commentator's curse on a few people. It
happens. It's as you found out, it's quite something it's quite easy for that to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
As we've got just 10 or so seconds left in the session. Might do something a bit different. I might look to take to the track in qualifying. I'll try not to get in anyone's way since I don't know the track. But at the moment, I'm having some issues with my wheels, so that's it's something to keep an eye on. May not happen.
May or may not happen. We will keep an eye out for that. The checkered flag has just fallen here at the back end of practice, and the man at the top of the standings is Jake Maloney. He's set to 1:21.459. Actually, he's about 0.4 of a second ahead of Corey Ott, so they were the top 2 men in practice.
Some new names we're seeing that we didn't. They weren't with us last time out.
No, that is correct. There actually have been a couple of new additions, about 4 or 5, just by my looking down my list here. Actually, quite a handful of guys actually running guest cars. We've got 7 guys, or 6 guys, sorry, in the guest car. One of them's actually taken over Madbird's 17K. I don't think he's going to be too happy about that.
Oh, one of them was going to be me, but
he's not here. He's not here to see it.
And we're not able to police that somehow. I've incidentally found the reason why my wheel wasn't working. It was not plugged in.
And it's always...
So I'm currently at the back of my computer seeking to rectify this particular situation.
I can hear you chipping away there. And in the meantime,
beg my pardon.
In the meantime, we've got a little gaggle of cars just starting to queue at the pit exit here for the start of qualifying at the head of the queue, Hobbo 88. The green light has just been shown, and we're about to get this session underway. So away he goes.
Beautiful.
He is followed out by Johnny in the number 77 Bob Jane T-Mart's car. They've actually got a couple of guys behind them as well. We've got Voda in the what is it? The Martini,
Voda's
in the Martini coloured car entry, and also we've got. I'm just looking to see who we've got there. We've actually got 2 guys sharing the Corey Ott and David Keane are both sharing the 82 car on track. There's actually 2 of them with the same number, so that makes it a bit difficult for us to tell who's who. Unless I look to my timing board, and it looks like that is Corey Ott, who's actually out at the moment. We've got a new timing system here. We can see who's in the pit lane. Oh, as Hobbo goes very wide.
Well, that's good. Interesting. Tell us about this new setup that we've got there for timing, Nether.
Well, what we've got is courtesy of a product called Z1 Dashboard, which is from a company called Z1 Sim Wheel. You can look them up on the web. It does mean that I have to be in a car, in the garage, for the entire duration to get some telemetry, because the broadcasting doesn't work well with that. But we've got a dashboard here. We can look at the map and see where everybody is on track. We've actually got a timing board. It tells us who's in the pits, how many laps they've completed, all the times, and all the differences between them as well. It actually saves us having to go back to the screen in Automobilista, as I'll show you right now. We don't need to go and take a look at this screen that's on your live stream at the minute. We actually have all of that sitting up on a separate screen side the broadcast booth.
That's very good. It means you can keep track of who's dropping down positions or whatever while you're not looking at them.
That's exactly right. And as you can see at the moment, there's only a couple of people that are not on track yet. There's only 3 people sitting in the pit lane, but we're looking trackside at Hobbo, who one of the favourites from last week, probably a favourite here today as well, but had a little bit of a hiccup in race 1 last week at Sandown, and was headed up a 1-2 for drive go-karting in race number 2.
That's right, and I myself have just joined the server, and indeed there is someone in the same car as me somehow, even though this is a bespoke livery, car number 17 from the Team Madbird, which is actually the livery that ARW is planning to run with the Canon Nikon R-Tech team, with myself and Madbird in an upcoming series of Porsche races.
Yes, absolutely. Not only the ARW guys looking at having a series of Porsches coming up in the next few weeks, but they're also hosting a 6-hour endurance race with the Toyota GT86. That's going to be in May.
Indeed. So anyone who's interested in joining that, it's an invitational. Anyone can join. And we're looking to fill those spots. Oh my god, there's a lot of cars out on track. There's a
lot of cars on track. It's a very, very small circuit. As you saw just a minute ago, Hobbo crossed the line with a 1:23.1, but immediately surpassed by Johnny and Corey Ott. Corey Ott into the 22.0 already. And as we skip through, we see Voda's just taking to the grass on the edge of the track there. It's not a good sign. Yeah,
so I'm coming around the first corner, just getting myself a bit of a sense for this track. So the layout looks a little bit like Estoril to me, just at first glance.
It does. It looks a little bit like Estoril. It's very, very open. There's not a lot of elevation change through Estoril. There's a little bit here through the infield. As we're watching at the moment on the live stream, Corey Ott, who's at the top of the timesheets at the moment, completing another lap. Actually, no, he's not at the top of the timesheets. I am very much mistaken. It's Jake Maloney, who's just dipped into the 21s. He's done a 21.9. He's is Corey Ott, who's currently in second place. And he's actually underneath that top time by some 0.3 of a second on this lap. He's got the Short Shift podcast car ahead of him as Matt Williams, but he should be further enough away on this run down the main straight. And he's set to top times if he keeps this up. And as he comes to the line, indeed he has. He's down to into the 21.5s now. Corey Ott goes to the top, the 21.5. And
nice job there, Corey Ott.
Very nice job indeed. Let's have a look through the field. Actually, we've just got you on the stream here now, Stairs. So we'll see if
yeah, just about to do my first flying lap. That's the first time I've ever done a lap on this circuit, so it's quite scary, if I'm honest, because I'm trying not to fuck anyone. Sorry, I'm trying not to stuff anyone else's lap, and as I've done that, I've gone completely off at the first corner, and that's because I was too busy talking to so it's very hard. You know, Dick Johnson did a very good job of this, so I'm going to have another go at that, because no doubt I'll do a better job on the second go. So apologies for stuffing up. That was as you went on board with me. You've I don't know if we can call that a commentator's curse. It was just me not paying enough attention.
I'm sure you will pick it up as you go along. Everybody who watches your stream knows that you definitely have what it takes to...
Look up ahead of me there. We've got two cars side by side into turn one here. I don't know if that's going to be good for either of their laps.
No.
And my goodness, the car feels skittish here. The track grip is... I don't know if it's just a slippery track or whether this Porsche is it's very bumpy, it has to be said.
Well, I've just found your onboard here, Says, so we'll come back to you now that I know what key I have to get to your onboard, and we'll cycle.
You have a specific key for each person, do we?
No, I've been experimenting with some new keyboard layout just to try and get everything the way I want it with this little broadcast.
Excellent.
But as soon as you're going to start another lap, let me know, and we'll do a little onboard.
No worries. I'll see if I can follow this D Keen up ahead. And maybe he can show me the ropes. He's just locked up and he's going off the track, so no, I've just given him the commentator's curse.
As well.
Oh dear.
As I'm looking through the field, here's Aussie just crossing the line to start his next flying lap. He's going into turn one. He's also in the Canon Nikon car that you're driving there, Stairs.
Okay, well, we'll have to have a chat to him about him, because maybe he wants to sign up for our team, and maybe even the 6 hour of Spa that we're having on May 20th.
Alright, and we're going to go on board with Stairs, and I'll talk you through a lap here at Goiania.
If you could talk me to it before I get to the corners, that might help me out a little bit. We're coming down in, yeah, here's the 150. Here's what I didn't do last time, which is brake, and I probably can carry a lot more speed through there. Obviously, this is only the fourth time I've seen this corner. This looks tricky. I reckon you can carry a lot of speed, but I'm not all that confident yet, so we'll hit the anchors at the 100-meter board. I'm sure you can go a lot deeper there. This is quite actually a long corner to the right that goes on and on and on. There's a lot of very fast, high radius corners through here.
Come down to the
no. Saved it.
Just saved it. That's probably one of the tougher corners on the track. It's the slowest corner on the track, I would say, as well. Aside from these two next couple of turns, which are coming up now, which is the S.
Oh, I'm just going to duck out of this person's way. I don't want to stuff their lap up.
Yeah, to me that looks like Johnny in the number 7, Bob James Seamar's entry. Johnny currently sat up in 6th position according to our timing screens, but looks like he's making a beeline for the pit entry there.
Yeah, I've got about 6 seconds to find here, and that's only the first sector. Sorry, the first 2 sectors.
We did get out of it a little bit to let a few people pass, so there's definitely some more time on the table there. We'll leave you go now. We won't follow you on board. We don't want to give you a curse. So
fair enough. Well, that's the first lap. Let's see if I've got a delta here now, so I can just work on improving that. What have I qualified, incidentally? Oh, God, I'm not going to improve it yet. Onto the grass.
You've done a 128 flat, Stairs, so you've got some time to find.
We certainly do.
Well, while you're trying to find some time, we're going to have a look at Philip Boak. He was one of the guys that was in the quicker end of things last week, but it didn't work out for him, so he's coming down now into turn number 1. We'll talk you through things here. This is Curva as it's written on our track map here. And now going into turn 2, which possibly could be an extension of turn 1, but it looks like it's 2 turns on here. Up through the little kink at Magulo, turn number 3, down to Miolo, this right-hander that seems to go on and on and on. Makes it through safely. Turn 5.
Did you say Magulo?
Yeah, Magulo.
Oh, I believe there's a corner at Brazil with the same name. Or
there is indeed.
Yes.
Turn 6 now for him at Big.
When I say Brazil, I mean Interlagos, which is a bit confusing saying Brazil because I'm pretty sure this circuit is in Brazil.
It is in Brazil. Through the kink at turn 7. Another kink here to the left at turn 8 and turn 9 and 10, the S's. First it's a right, a left, then another right, and in turn 11 brings him back onto what I guess could be conceived to be a second half of the back straight. There's 2 back straights, but no, he's done. So we didn't get to see quite a full lap. And then the last 2 turns, turn 12 is marked curve 0, and turn 13 again could possibly be conceived as an extension of turn 12, but there is a little short shoot in between. Jake Maloney. Sorry,
go on.
You off. You go on.
I was just saying, tricky cars to drive these. You've got to keep a little bit of throttle on, because as soon as you take off your foot from the throttle pedal, there is a fair amount of lift-off oversteer. So something that I was talking to Heath, who's up there on the timesheets, who's obviously pretty experienced with these cars, is if you give him keep a little bit of throttle on and steer it with the brake pedal, which is his strategy, it makes them a little bit more stable.
Nice to
in
know
corners.
Exactly how to drive these cars, and as a few people have said, some of them are very tricky. As I say that, Jake Maloney just quickly nicks to the top with a 1:21.3. We just cut to him as he was cutting across the line to finish that lap, and he's now into the 1 minute 21.3 bracket. Before him, we were looking at Hobbo. He was a 10th up on the top time in Sector 1, but bailed out of it after rooster tailing on the run to turn 6.
And I've just found about 5 positions there with 4 seconds on my first lap, so there's definitely room for improvement, and I'm sure that will continue if I don't go wide at the first corner like I am doing now.
And as you are going there, we are still on, our cameras are still trained on. Jake Maloney here, he's found 42 hundredths in his first sector, so he's pressing on here, looking for more time as he comes through the S's. Little wiggle as he comes out of the S's, and now on the run to the final 2 turns. He's actually found 3/4 of a second now on this lap, so this is going to be very close to going into a sub 21 if he can keep it together.
Just interesting point here. Sorry to cut across here. Just saw a message pop up on my screen saying Greg Tara has entered the game. So that's late. He was the one battling last week with Hobbo for pole position.
And as you say that too, Stairs, and I did mention that Maloney was going to be very close to going under the 21s. He has done so. I think he must have got a little toe from yourself down the main straight, because he's gone to the top with a 20.9. So he's half a second clear of Corey Ott at the moment.
Oh, shit.
And you are right, Greg Tara has sort of been in and out of the game. He was a late addition into the practice session, but he has been in and out, and is now back into the server, and hopefully he can show us a turn of speed that he had last week, but at the moment he's somewhat 1 second off the pace.
Yes, it's tricky as I go again off the first corner. I cannot brake at 100 meters there. That is too late. Maybe some people can make that, but not quite my correct braking zone as I rejoin the track in 2.
I have been noticing that even when setting up for this race, we're using some of the AI. Some of them were trail braking a little bit into turn 1. They're actually having 2 stabs at the brake pedal. They were getting an initial load in, getting off, and then getting another one in as the car was rotating. So not sure how they were managing to do that, but it's definitely a tricky little circuit. And as we're watching Hobbo again here, he's still looking to try and find some time. He's currently ranked 3rd on our timesheets. He's nearly 3/4 of a second behind the leader of this session at the moment in Jake Maloney. There's Greg Tara. We're just moving to him. He's rooster tailing through the grass. Now, what turn is he at on our timing screens? He's coming up to the turn number 4 at Miolo by the look of it.
Oh, I think my tyres are dead.
We're cycling through the field here, and here's young Heath Dixon in that beautifully liveried Stark Industries tribute to Ironman. He's now up to the S's. He's currently ranked 6th, so he's been going along rather quietly. Let's have a look at his second sector split that comes up here. He's still some considerable amount of time off. He's had enough. He's headed for the pits, and he remains 6th. Rick Tara is still 4th. He hasn't found any time yet, but he's about to commence a flying lap. So let's join with him. He comes around this final turn and onto the main straight. Let's go for an onboard lap here with Greg Tara. Hopefully he doesn't get the commentator's curse from me as he comes down here into turn 1. Let's see how deep he can go under brakes. This is Kurtulum. He's on at about the 125 and gets it tucked in nicely. A little short shoot now, keeps it out wide for turn 2 using the ripple strip. Through Magulo, turn 3, off the gas, and I actually think he might be aborting this lap. Yeah, he's aborted this lap.
Yeah,
Obviously
it's
not
the end of the session.
It's the end of the because the end of the session. So obviously he didn't feel he was in a quick enough state to be able to deliver that time. But that is all she wrote. And the man who is on pole position is this man on our screens here in the garage. It's Jake Maloney. At 120.9, he's the only man to get under the 21 or the 1 minute 21 second barrier. Corey
impressive.
Ott improved his time late to a 21.4, but the golfing class still quite a considerable amount of margin between first and second place.
But a lot of people there in the 22s from 4th all the way down to David Kingshot there. No, sorry, Lee Sanford in 14th place.
So there's a big gaggle, and there's quite a few guys that are together. Harvey and Derpy Dan, very, very close. Kingshot and Sanford, they're very close on times. Baker and Nagel and Dixon and Davies are all looking very, very close as well. Now, out of curiosity, is there anybody still on the track? Yeah, there is. Phil Boak is still on track according to our screens, but no, it's reported he's now back in the pit. So that is the end of the session, as you rightly pointed out. And there was a little rule change just before the session went live. And
handy to know.
And it was that it was going to be 2 15-minute free-for-all sessions. There was not going to be a one-lap shootout as there was last week.
15 lap, did you mean?
It was going to be, no, 15-minute. It was going to be a 15-minute session for qualifying for both races.
Oh, okay, yes,
right,
fair enough. So they've shortened it from, what was it, half hour in the previous round.
It was a half-hour session at the very beginning on the race 1, and then there was a half-hour session for the race 2 quali. But the race 2 quali last week was a one-shot affair. Well, here we go. We are looking here at the grid for race number 1. Jake Maloney on the pole.
It's a very tight grid, it must be said.
It's a very extremely tight grid.
And I'm just going to try not to stuff anyone's race here because we saw the rate of attrition from the previous race.
And we can hear the lights going.
Green, green,
and
green.
we're away. And it was an awful start by the pole sitter, Jake Maloney. And he's now been swamped. And Hobbo's on the inside. And this is going to be, he's losing it. Hobbo is going to take the
cars
and then Lee Sanford's been hit.
There's huge.
There's a massive, massive accident back there. We're going to stick with the leading trio for the moment. Hobbo has gone through into first place. He's taken over from Jake Maloney.
Oh, Brian Walsh is on the grass. And, there's a multicoloured car. I didn't see who that was. Taking back to the track.
Yes.
I've made it back up to 15th place behind Brian Walsh.
And just looking here at Grant English, he looks like he might have some sort of damage because we've just cycled back through the field. Yeah,
huge contact.
He's gone off at the top of the Miolo corner, and I think that might be him done. Voters dropped right back. Lee Sanford's got massive damage. We saw him get turned around by somebody at the start of the race. But and now Hobbo is trying desperately at the front here to hold off Jake Maloney. Maloney getting a very, very poor start. And yeah, we've seen Grant English is now marked off as retired. He's back in the pit lane. And we've seen Grant English is now marked off as retired. He's back in the pit lane. And yeah, we've seen Grant English is now marked off as retired. He's back in the pit lane. And yeah, we've seen Grant English is now marked off as retired. He's back in the pit lane. And yeah, we've seen Grant English is now marked off as retired. He's back in the pit lane. And yeah, we've seen Grant English is now marked off as retired. He's back in the pit lane. And yeah, we've seen Grant English is now marked off as retired. He's back in the pit lane. And yeah, we've seen Grant English is now marked off as retired. He's back in the pit lane. And yeah, we've seen Grant English is now marked off as retired. He's back in the pit lane. And yeah, we've seen Grant English is now marked off as retired. He's back in the pit lane. And yeah, we've seen Grant
Do we know where Brock Harvey started the race? Because he looks like he's in 11th. I'm just behind him in a gaggle of other cars, and I'm very cautious about because I'm not sure where they all break.
Yeah, well, Harvey was around that 9th, 10th position when he qualified. We're just staying with this battle at the minute. At the very front of the field, Hobbo 88 and Jake Maloney trying to get away from the pack here, and they're followed by Corey Ott and Dwayne Davies. Hobbo just keeping a look in his mirrors because the man behind him, Jake Maloney, is definitely going to send one up the inside somewhere if he gets an opportunity. He's got a good run out of him here of turn 2 and through the kink at 3. I'm not sure if there's an overtaking opportunity here of Miolo at turn 4, but no, Hobbo covers the line just to be sure as they continue to navigate Miolo here. Now the next opportunity is probably down here at turn 6 at the Vico de Pardo corner if there's a room here, but no, thinks better of it. It's only about 0.3 of a second in front. These two guys are going to be racing very hard. Corey Ott just struggling to keep pace with them at the moment in this little 15-lap short sprint.
Huge battle pack up here, sort of right through down to about 12th place. I wish I'd had a bit more practice because I reckon I'd be right in the mix here.
It sounds like you're having an absolute battle on your hands too, Stairs. I'm looking at the timing screen and you're right, there's quite a gaggle of cars from 9th right to about 12th that are very, very close in times. That's
right, I'm just trying to keep my distance a little bit till I sort of learn the track a bit because I don't want to interfere too badly with anyone's race.
And it looks like we've lost you're right about the race last week, but it looks like as we go to the cut back to the action here, there's Hobbo on the outside, Maloney on the inside, and he's going to have to give him some room here, Hobbo, but there's a race control that's just popped up as a penalty for Matt Williams for a drive-through. Now, I'm not sure...
Oh, no, and there he is. It might be the pits because he's just coming out of the pits at the moment.
So it sounds like it could be a pit lane speeding infringement, probably from repairing any bit of damage, and we've just witnessed a change for the lead here. So the man who started on pole, Jake Maloney, has gotten past Hobbo at 88 at the first corner, and he'll probably now look to try and get away from him. Corey Ott still trying to maintain some sort of...
Oh, Heath Dixon's recovering to the track somehow. I don't know what's happened here. He's well off the track, and I'm... Oh, goodness gracious, I've just gone round the outside and onto the grass. Thankfully, not too bad. As Greg Turris comes through and just made contact with Heath Dixon, and I've got Brian Walsh coming up my inside there, who I just had the move done on, but let the position back. Oh, it's all going on back here. Telling you that.
Well, we've actually just cut back to watch you guys have this battle you are having now. Heath Dixon leading a gaggle of cars. He's leading Greg Turro, Brian Walsh, yourself, and David Kingshot all through this little infield section. And now on the way to the last turn, which happens to be called Curva Zero. Very, very
0 to 0 through here very quickly.
And Greg Turra actually got the lights on at the moment, so if that probably doesn't signal that he's looking to make a passing move on Mr. Dixon at some point, then I don't know what does.
I've got David Kingshot behind me. I am a little bit worried after what happened last week with he and a couple of the other runners.
We'll keep an eye on that, but...
oh, and Brian Walsh has just gone off the track in front of me.
There he goes, just outbraked himself, the cloud of smoke. So he's gone deep, he surrenders a position or two there. David Kingshot, as you're saying, Stairs, is right under the back wing of the number 17 going into Miolo. Yes, you. The rate of attrition has kicked up a notch. We've unfortunately lost three runners in this race. Actually, I think we might have lost one more. One seems to might have dropped out of the server. I had 4 up on the screen before. We've had Lee Sanford and Grant English, who I think were the 2 parties involved in that accident on the run to turn 1 on the opening lap. And Derpy Dan's also parked it in the garage as well. So those guys are out of this short sprint.
Disappointing from their perspective, of course.
Absolutely. And
Greg Tara and Heath Dixon are just stretching away now, so they obviously are using their superior abilities in this car and this track knowledge to... and Kingshot's just had a little bit of a dive. I went to give him room at probably a bit optimistic from him, as I have a bit of a moment out of the final corner, so we'll see whether he can take advantage of that coming out of this onto this main straight.
Heath Dixon setting his fastest lap on that lap as he's trying to hunt down Greg Tara, but as you're saying, you've got a couple of cars behind you. You've got David Kingshot and you've got Brian Walsh recovering from a little off-track excursion, or close enough to an off-track excursion on the last lap. We've actually just seen that Dwayne Davies and Devonish look like, and both look like they're all changing positions up the front. So we're going to go ahead to the action up here and see what's going on. We've still got Maloney, Hobbo and Ott leading this race. We've got Greg Nangle, who's a new one that joined us this race, and Philip Boak, according to our timing screens, has moved up a little bit. So too will Devonish and Brock Harvey's, and I think the one who's gone backwards looks like it's either Johnny, or we could be somebody with an off-track excursion, because Dixon was set up in 10th, and he's now moved up to 9th on our timing screen.
Yeah, Dwayne Davies has dropped back to 11th. He's just up the road from me.
So that's the man who
so he must have had an issue.
He was on the timing screens. He was up around 5th or 6th, according to our timing screens, and he's now dropped right down to 11th. Fastest car on the track at the moment, surprise, surprise, Jake Maloney. His best lap at 1:21.4 is the quickest lap of the race so far.
Good job from him.
Absolutely, good job from him. He wasn't. Oh, we're just watching Voda going through the dirt there. I think is that at turn 1. It looks like. So he's down at 16th. So no danger to anybody, but a little bit of a hard.
Oh, a moment for Dwayne Davies on the turn 1. He's just spun it round, and I've made the position. And there's Voda and another car up ahead. Greg Tyra's spun also.
Oh, we're coming. Yeah, you see that too. We've just cut across to see he's recovering through the grass, and must be turn 1. Must be the action spot.
Yes, I'm up to 10th place, and, all of a sudden.
Oh, Dwayne Davies. And Dwayne Davies has lost it going up into Miolo at turn 4 and gone down the escape road, so he'll have to recover. He's going to lose another few positions, so a horrible couple of laps for him. And Greg Turra now recovering as well. Looks like a little bit of small amount of damage on that front, and Voda's in the... oh, what else is going on back here? There's all sorts of things going on. Voda's recovering through the grass. Walsh is recovering through the grass. There's all sorts of
disastrous.
The lesser experienced guys probably just not being able to get much of a handle on this circuit, as we watch Brian Walsh again just outbrake himself into the S's, into turns 9 and 10. Sounds like some of these guys may not have put in the practice so required for this circuit.
And they're not making the concessions. I'm taking this a little bit easy, but I've found myself a bit of space on the track now. 7 seconds ahead, 6 behind. And just by keeping my nose clean, I started 17th. Here I am in 10th place.
Oh, Kingshot's just been whacked up the back by Dwayne Davies in response.
Oh no, he's got some of his own. Deary me.
It's going on back there. There's it's a take no prisoners situation, or maybe somebody's rubbed something up the wrong way. And
these tyres are going to struggle to last the race. 77% wear already, and I've just outbraked myself here, and I've just made it. We've only 7 laps into the race. We've got just under half the race left to go.
We do. Just keeping an eye here, Jake Maloney, he's doing some remarkably good times at the minute. He's stretched away to a nearly 5-second advantage at the minute. As we come through the field, Hobbo 88 actually under some pressure here from Corey Ott. Corey Ott was underneath him at turn 2, so at the second last turn, and is now another switch for position. Hobbo's lost second place now. He's down to 3rd. Corey Ott has moved up.
Well done, Corey Ott.
Into turn 1 and holding it nicely. Hobbo just slide into that Porsche just a little bit on turn 1. He's going to try and recover and see. He's still got plenty of time, as you said, Stairs, to get that position back. But just very, very deep under brakes there, very nearly making contact. But he's gnawing away on the back of this number 82 car. He does not want to give that position up easily, and he's looking at going inside here, down at turn 6 at Pico de Polo, the hairpin, and a little bit of a nudge. Gets through. Corey just gave him a little love tap. Those guys look like they're going to battle to the flag, but as we've seen before, Hobbo's no slouch. He's definitely a good driver, and they're side by side here, but he maintains position through turn 9. But up the inside, Corey Ott again, turn 10. They both give each other a bit of room. Hobbo went a bit wide, but well, this is going to be an interesting run down to the final 2 turns. And pulling in behind Corey Ott. So that's a fantastic exchange between those guys for a full lap. Oh, just a little twitch there from Hobbo as he comes through the last turn. Has Ott got enough? Can he get in the slipstream? Can he get a little run down here to turn 1? He's going to go for it. He's got overlap, so they're going to have to give each other some room. And Hobbo gives him some room. We've just got a little yellow flag came up and just went away. Oh, this is some scintillating action as we're watching these two continue to battle over second and third place. And we've just got Voda in the way here. Voda needs to get out of the way.
Oh, Voda.
Just at the most inopportune time, at a heart-stopping moment, Hobbo would have had his heart in his mouth. And they managed to get through. But thankfully, nothing...
oh, no, I've spun at turn 1, and Greg Tara, who was honing in on me, is going to get that position, and that is not ideal. Those tyres feeling a bit worn out at this stage, and I'm probably going to lose another position here. There goes Brian Walsh.
We could just see you in the background as we're on our from our trackside cameras there, Stairs. This battle for second and third is absolutely scintillating. It's neither of these two here, Corey Ott or Hobbo, giving each other an inch. And they're only separated on track by a couple of tenths. Here we go, let's have a look and see if Ott can get a good run out of this second to last and last turn. And he's got it again. He's right under that Porsche's rear wing of from Drive Go-Karting. Gets a run. Down the inside again. He seems to have such a good drive off that last turn. And side by side into turn 1 they go again. And just a bit of smoke here. Hobbo getting up the inside, getting his nose there after the inside of turn 1. And turn 2 falls back into line for turn 3. You can't go side by side through there. And covering the line, Corey Ott. Those guys are having an absolute humdinger of a battle. And he'll maintain position here, Corey Ott, I think. He does through the high speed turn 5. Having another look, Hobbo turn 6. Up the inside again. And another switch for position. I think we're going to have to leave those guys for a minute and see if we can find another battle down the field, even though we want to keep watching this one.
Oh, catching up to Brian Walsh, but the tyres, they just feel like they've melted. You've got to guide this thing so carefully because it's so slippery.
It definitely looks slippery. It doesn't look like the track is rubbered in. Well, there was only a 30-minute practice session ahead of the race, so probably not a lot of rubber laid down. Jake Maloney is walking away with this one. I mean, he's got some nearly 11 seconds on the second place car, all because of that squabbling that's been going on for positions 2 and 3. And Corey Ott's actually got, something's happened, we've cut away from that group. Hobbo has lost quite a substantial amount of time to Corey Ott here. Probably the length of, or half the length of the front straight. And he's now under pressure from Greg Nangle. So Nangle just been going along rather nicely in his first outing that we've had on the broadcast here, but he's honing in on the back of the Drive Go-Karting number 88. Let's have a look through the field here. Will Devonish and Brock Harvey having an exchange of positions, and Heath Dixon's in this battle as well as they come out of turn 2 and through 3 up to turn 4. Uphill, tricky braking, and folds back in on itself 180 degrees and heads then back down to the northwestern end of the circuit through 5 and 6, and that's another battle that's shaping up rather nicely. Devonish is gnawing away on the back of this number 29 Drive Go-Karting entry, Brock Harvey, and Heath Dixon's, he's looking...
Oh, and Voda's just spun. I think that might be turn 4, and there's just... Oh, and it's I've had to take avoiding action. Brian Walsh has lost out as well. And behind me, Kingshot and Dwayne Davies are catching up. This is going to be a tasty battle if they all close in.
Well, it sounds like we've got quite a lot of battles to look forward to. Heath Dixon's now got a little bit of a run here on Will Devonish going down into turn number 12. Just falls back into line though, and just couldn't get the braking done in time. And now just loses a little bit of distance and prevents him from having any real opportunity at going down into turn number 1 here. But we've only got, we're on lap 12 now, so we've only got this one plus 3 more remaining. So if, time for some guys to start looking at making a move as we see the smoke coming off the back of Brock Harvey's car out of shot down to turn 1. And
Oh, and Brian Walsh is dealing with front locking. It's something chronic, and he's gone wide at the first corner, and I'm in his slipstream here.
Oh, Dixon's having a look here. He had a real look at Devonish at turn number 3. That wasn't an ideal passing opportunity, but he had the run, but he had to back out of it. And he feels like he's a quicker car at the minute and wants to...
Oh, and I've completely overcooked it at turn 1. That was not enough grip at turn 1, and I'm in the wall here, so I was probably a little bit ambition outweighed talent there. Not a lot of grip on the inside there, and that's unfortunate because I'm back to 13th with a little bit of left hand down. So that's all on me.
Don't be so hard on yourselves there, Stairs. You haven't had much practice here, so and probably don't know the circuit all that well. But nonetheless,
Dwayne Davies back to 14th. I'm surprised he's still behind me after that off.
Well, he's been involved in a few wars though as well with some of the guys down the field, so it probably doesn't surprise me that he's moved. He's come down the field a bit as we just cycle through the field.
Oh goodness!
At who's where. Matt Williams
And
in that.
He's going to go around my outside here. I'm sort of letting him through. He kind of backed off because I don't know if he knew that I was doing that. But yeah, my car is getting a bit difficult to drive now. 70%, or sorry, 65% on the rears, and turn 1 feels like an ice skating rink at the moment.
And just having a look at Hobbo 88, his car looked like it was on an ice skating rink there, coming through 4, 5, and now into 6. He looks like he might be struggling just to keep that car on the blacktop. He's under pressure still from Greg Nangle. There's only about 7/10 separating those guys at the minute, with only 2.5 laps remaining. We'll return to that battle in a little bit. We want to go back to this battle we're having before. Brock Harvey's just managed to... There's actually been a change of position while we've been away. Heath Dixon's moved up to 6th place, ahead of Will Devonish. So finally managed to send one up the inside somewhere and make it stick. And as Harvey goes wide on the exit of turn number 10 at the S's, that gives Dixon we'll say a little bit of a sniff, but it gives him a little bit of a carrot just to say that maybe there's still time for him to gain another spot. Another battle looms for the next 2 laps for those guys as we follow Brock Harvey down into down the front straight into turn number 1. Dixon getting a little toe, but doesn't elect to send it up the inside this time. And
sponsored by Australia Post.
Yes, it's sponsored by Australia Post, who sometimes don't have the best track record of delivering on what they promise, as seen in Victoria.
You might say the best Star Trek record.
Yes, Country Victoria earlier in the week. There was an Australia Post box that hadn't had its mail collected for several months and was overflowing, and of course there were things in there dating back to the gay marriage ballot from last year. So that goes to show how long they'd left it unchecked.
It is some time.
Dixon applying the blowtorch to Brock Harvey. He's searching. They're on their way now up to the S's. They've only got a lap and a bit. Brock Harvey's smoking the inside wheels on the way into that turn.
Davey's up ahead of me. He's just had a massive moment through turn 1. He will need a dry cleaners after that.
I'm sure he won't be the only man that needs a new set of underpants after this race. There's
smoke. Sorry, not smoke. There's dirt up ahead. It's someone's had enough, but not enough for us to catch up. Me and Davies, I think 13th and 14th is the best we can hope for at this stage.
This man we are on screen with at the minute has been untouchable since he got back to first place after the first lap. So, and as I say, that just has a little wiggle and just wanted to try to put the power down a little too early. But as we see in the background there, Voda having yet another off-track excursion. Jake Maloney out to a near 14-second advantage coming through turn number 11. Now he's on his way to the last 2 turns and will pick up a race victory. Safely through 12, now through 13, and he can coast it from here. He's got gap, he's got a margin.
I didn't get lapped, so that's one positive.
Positive. So Jake Maloney's a race winner, race number 1 here in Goiania. Corey Ott, he's just had a little moment there as well, but he'll come down the main straight and take 2nd place. Hobbo's going to finish third. He's held off Greg Nagel for a well-deserved fourth place. Brock Harvey has... oh, what's happened to Heath Dixon? We cut it.
No.
Heath Dixon was up to 6th place, and he surrendered it. That puts Devonish back into 6th place. He's also surrendered more positions. Johnny's come through, and he's holding on to 7th. And Dixon spun it. Dixon spun it at the last turn.
Oh,
So
desperate luck.
Probably the tyres going on him. He pushed very, very hard. And he's also now surrendered a spot to Greg Turris. So Turris has finished 9th. Dixon's just going to stay inside the top 10. Here we go. Kingshot coming around the last 2 turns as well now.
Davies has kept it clean for this final lap. He didn't have the moment in turn 1. I was hoping he would repeat for me to get on his back, but he's done well to hold me off here. I've sort of been there or thereabouts, but never close enough to pounce.
No, and despite all those mistakes, he's still managed to finish 13th. But there were quite a lot of battles up and down that field all race long. The exchanges between Maloney and Hobbo and Ott and Hobbo, very, very entertaining. Also that mid-race, that battle between Heath Dixon and Brock Harvey and Will Devonish was rather tasty for a while. And when you guys will take a look at that replay, you'll just see some of the on-track action. What I was talking about, it was very, very entertaining for a great portion of that race. But that is race number 1 over in about 22 minutes. And your race winner, Jake Maloney, running out the podium, Corey Ott and Hobbo 88. And we will be back with qualifying for race 2 in just a minute.
Look out for stairs in qualifying too. He knows the track a bit better now.
Doesn't make up for his lack of skill.
Oh, well, we are now joined,
rip!
We are now joined by that young man in the number... What number are you, Mr.
3,
Dixon? You are number 3, Heath Dixon. Heath, can you talk us a little bit through your last lap? You were up towards 6th place, and then you finished 10th. What on earth happened to you, son?
So I just completely missed the brake marker. I've gone up the inside of Brock, obviously. But I wasn't actually making a lunge. I was just trying to get some visibility because sitting behind him, all I could see was the back of his car. So I've gone up the inside and thought, oh, okay, yep, I'll just, I'm not going to try and take him here. But by the time I saw the 50-metre marker board, it was too late, and I'd realised that I'd outbraked myself, and I've screamed out, sorry. And he thought I was having a lunge, so he gave the room. And, it wasn't a lunge, it was just completely outbraking myself.
Oh, dear.
Yes.
Not ideal. Well, from what I saw, there was a lot of incident at the beginning of that race, and it was you did well to avoid it.
Thank you. Yeah. So I kind of got swamped at the start. I'm the Mark Webber of starts, I think. And
as was the pole sitter, I believe. Was that right, Nether?
Yes, the pole sitter, Jake Maloney, had an awful start, and Hobbo had overlap on him on the run to turn 1, and he had to surrender that position. And further back in the field, we actually saw, I think it was Lee Sanford got absolutely poleaxed by somebody mid-pack, and that was him done for the day. Surprisingly, we only lost, we started with 22 runners, and someone's dropped out of the server obviously since that time, but we only lost 4 runners overall, so surprisingly low rate of attrition, but there were a few guys that came to grief on more than one occasion and were consequently lapped. Now the server's just come.
Yeah,
looks like it's crashed.
They're just restarting, I believe, because they're going to have to do another second 15-minute quali for this second 15-lap sprint.
I believe tyre wear was a bit of an issue for some runners. I saw ahead of me, Dwayne Davies was having moments in turn 1. How did you find the tyres were, Heathy?
Oh, they were shot by the end. That's why I ended up 10th. I think I was 9th coming around that last corner, but I just gave it that little bit too much. And as I started to spin, I looked at my tyres and realised that they were shot.
Turn 1 being probably one of the most crucial areas that, I myself was up into 10th momentarily until I had a moment to turn 1 and completely went off the track twice, I think, trying to overtake someone else. And Dwayne Davies ahead of me had something of a moment there, which I said in commentary would necessitate a trip to the dry cleaners.
Indeed. The
Well, yeah, I did see you're a few places behind me at one point, and I hoped, okay, come on, stairs, work your way through, let's get this battle going. But wasn't.
No, I would have liked to join it, but I just don't have enough track knowledge to be up there with you guys just yet. But here's hoping race 2 yields a top 10. That's my goal.
It looks like the server may have just come back up, gentlemen.
I might have to back out and refresh that. You mentioned that you lost someone from the server. That was me.
It was you? No, it was.
There it is. It's back up.
I had 22 runners at the start, including yourself. And when someone else, I think, who retired from the race in that first little incident, decided to drop out. I'm just looking through my notes here to see if I can find out who it was. I think it may have been Aussie, actually, who he was actually running the other replica of the Madbird number 17 Madbird livery. And I had him written down here, and I didn't have him on my timing screen at the end just before it reset. Right. So, nonetheless, the server is back up, gentlemen. So they've gone into another practice session. I'm assuming just till everybody gets themselves sorted.
Seems to be showing, yes, practice session number 1. 17 people in the server so far.
Yep, and there's a couple of guys on track at the moment. Just David Kingshot and David Keane. The only 2 guys out there at the minute, just trying to get their eye in as we see Kingshot.
You might say they're keen.
They are certainly very keen.
Aussie's actually just rejoined the server now too, so hopefully he has a better session than what we had last race.
Well, I'm going to head back down to the garage and prepare for qualifying. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Good luck for the next race, Heath.
And you, Stairs. Thank you.
Heath Dixon there, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, desperately bad luck for him.
It does sound like Tywear is the name of the game for race 2.
That's right, and there isn't really a lot that can be done. I mean, I myself wasn't pushing that hard, and the tyres were still half spent by the end of that race. And half spent doesn't necessarily mean that they still have anywhere near the grip they have at the start.
And we've actually just had a quick look at the track conditions as well. The track conditions do say that it's only a medium grip at the moment, so maybe that might also explain some of the tyre wear dilemmas. There's not a great deal of rubber laid down on the circuit, but hopefully the medium grip is an improvement for this race. As we have a look at some of the helicopter shot here of David Keane, he's going around at turn 6 through turn 7 here, and on the run to fast kink at 8, left at 9 and left at 10. So while we wait for these guys to get themselves sorted and in the server, there's 1 or 2 guys still yet to come in. Let's take an onboard lap with David Keane, seeing he's the only man that seems to be on one of the only 2 or 3 men that seems to be on the circuit at the minute. We'll give you a view around this 2.38 mile bull ring. Coming down here into turn number 1, Kerber on the brakes, gets it down. Oh, he's taking liberties there with the curb and the grass, and as a result he loops it. So thanks a lot, David. You really showed me that I have definitely got the commentator's curse.
It just means you're a commentator, a real true blue commentator.
Well, we didn't see too much of that in the Formula 1 race this afternoon, so hopefully we don't see a great deal of it now. And as I say that, we have now ticked over into the 15-minute qualifying session.
We have indeed.
It is still a red light at the end of the pit lane, and we have got 21 runners on our timing screen, which means there are 21 times that need to be set to determine this order, or 21 best times, I should say, to determine this order. And we're seeing a number of guys already. Oh, should we go back there? There's a bit of a drive go-karting sandwich there on the screen. They've got somebody locked in the middle there. I can't tell who it is from this angle, if it's the 77 or the 777, but that looks rather...
Someone's taken the track before the light's gone red.
Someone has taken the track before the light's gone red, have they? And you're
so
right.
Green, sorry.
I just saw it out the corner of my eye. In the fact, it's actually Grant English. So Grant English, he's not going to be able to have this time that he's on track for at the minute confirmed. But he is... In actual fact, I've also got David Keane reporting as on
And
track
it's green.
as well. The session's now just gone green. So Kingshot leads the field out. That's already banked up at the pit exit. But
And I myself am in two minds as to whether to let him go or whether he's letting me past. But it looks like he's just taking it nice and easy.
well, I would say just let him go, get a little bit of a gap. I mean, you probably need about 3 or 4 seconds between yourselves just to make sure you don't have overlap, because that seems to be what the spread was for most of the quick times on the last qualifying session. Yeah, Grant English is the man who came out. He's on his way now at the moment, according to my track map, to the last 2 turns. And David Keane as well, from what I can see. Yep, so so Grant English is crossing the line now. Well, it's actually said that the time is actually registering, so he's... Let's see what we
Maybe
can
just a
follow
bit
him
lucky.
on that. Maybe a bit lucky. Let's see if we can follow him for an onboard lap.
Alright, I can't really give too much gap to Kingshot up ahead because the car behind him is threatening to pass me, but I think there should be enough if I just wait a little bit on the apex of the last corner.
Right, turn 4 now. Grant English just goes a bit wide. He's well clear of the apex, but still plenty of time to find himself a good lap. He works his way through 5. Through turn 6 now. Climbing up the hill. Through 7. Under the Chevrolet banner. Now this little kink to the right, to the left, sorry, which you're tempted to take a bit quicker than you are, but you actually need to get off the power and onto the brakes, because the S's comes up very quickly, turns 9 and 10. Now you're hard on the power, on the run to the final 2 turns. Up through the gears. And braking at the 100 metre board for Curva 0. And now for the final turn. And now the run through the line. And let's see what sort of time he's going to put down. Grant English is going to put down a 1 minute 23.5, the first representative time. There's only one man who has not taken to the track, or sorry, one man that has not taken to the track yet, and that's Dwayne Davies. So he's still sat up in the pits at the minute. David Keane will probably be the next man to... he was one of the other guys that was on track a bit earlier than should have been. Let's have a look through the field and find who's going to be setting our next time. Here we go. Hobbo goes to the top. Coriot slots in behind.
Shit.
And the times are starting to come now. So Hobbo's got to a 22.0. Lee Sanford there on screen. He's set to 27.0, so he's got plenty of time to find. Philip Oak taking a lot of exit curb there on the last turn on the run down to the line to start his first flying lap. Matt Williams in that carbon fibre looking short shift podcast racing car, looking very different to what it was last week. Will Devonish coming to the line. The yellow flag somewhere on track has just been cleared. Devonish with a 23.3, so... Well,
still yellows at turn 1. Philip Oak's gone off at turn 1.
That'll be what the yellow flag is for. Thank you very much, Stairs. Devonish continues to go for another lap. There's the pole sitter from last race. Maloney jumps into first place with a 22.001, so not as quick as what he was for qualifying 1 for race number 1, but he's just 32 hundredths ahead of Hobbo. Not very much at all. In actual fact, now Hobbo puts in a 21.9, Coriot with a 21.9, so these guys are really starting to get a wriggle on with their times now. As we watch Will Devonish, he just dropped it on the grass a little bit, skates across the grass and gets out of the way. We're on board with Greg Nangle now. We're looking at Greg Nangle, sorry. He's some 7 tenths up on his personal best from his last lap. 4 tenths off the top time. Let's see what time he can produce. There's a very respectable 4th in the last race. And he hands in a 22.7. That moves him up to 6th on the pecking order at the moment. Keith Dixon set up in the garage. He's posted a 22.8. He's in the pits with Derby Dan and Ott, and as I say that, here comes at number 3 out to try and set another time. 9.5 minutes remaining in this session. Greg Turra through the final 2 turns. He's going to set himself up for another flyer. Here he comes on the main straight. Let's have a look and see who is on the move at the minute. Greg Nangle improving on his PB again through sector 1. Baker comes to the line. We haven't seen much of him all night. He puts himself in a respectable 8th on the grid at the minute with a 23.8. But there's still some time in this track and still plenty of time to achieve it. Looking to see if there's anybody on track that hasn't set a time yet, and Philip Boak, Dwayne Davies, they're yet to set some times. The spread of the field is actually pretty good at the moment. It's not as large as what it was for qualifying 1 last time. It's only 2.7 seconds between the first place car and the car in 18th, with 2 cars yet to set a time. We've actually just lost another car from the server. I'm not sure who we've lost, but hopefully they will return very, very shortly. But we have all cars on track bar Mr. Walsh at the moment. Brian Walsh and the Bob Jane team art entry currently in the pits, and David Keane just returned to the pits now as Walsh takes to the track.
Oh, dear me. And pretty tight down there around 10th place. I improved by, I think, 3 or 4 tenths and made up four positions. So it's pretty tight up there, just behind Baker there.
It is. The gap has just widened now to 3.4 seconds, with Jake Maloney popping in at 21.2. So he's getting closer and closer and closer to that 20.9 that he did in qualifying 1, and just separating himself a little bit from the guys who are chasing. And here he is on screen now. Let's see what he's up to. Fortunately, little timing that we have thanks to Z1 Dashboard doesn't have anything to do with the sector splits that these guys are doing. Jake Maloney coming to pits, and we have had that 21st car return to the server. So 2 men yet to set times. These 2 guys here, Dwayne Davies, who's on track here, and actually he's the only man yet to set a time, Dwayne Davies. Philip Oak just across the line to set his best time so far at 22.9. That was good enough to pop him up into 10th place, but Dwayne Davies on the run to the last 2 turns. Safely navigates curve 0 and onto the main straight. This isn't going to be a stellar time, but it's going to be a time nonetheless. Where does it pop him into the grand scheme of things? It pops him up into 18th, so with a 24.1. Jake Maloney coming out of the pits for yet another crack. He obviously doesn't feel that a 21.2 is safe. Corey Ott's now dipped into a 21.6. Hobbo's down to a 21.8. Johnny to a 21.9. Good to see him popping up on the timing sheets, a bit of a better improvement than what he had in qualifying number 1. And let's cycle through the field from top to bottom as it currently is. Jake Maloney, he's on an outlap at the minute, so hopefully we'll see him dive under that 1 minute 21 barrier again. Hobbo, 88, he's up in second. He's actually just leapfrogged Corey Ott, and he's done a 21.5, and that's probably why Maloney doesn't feel safe and has gone out again, because he knows that this man can pull something out of the bag, and there's still 5 minutes available to do it. Corey Ott, he's coming in the main straight. He's looking to set another time. What can he do? He sets a... no, he didn't improve on that last lap. He actually actually he's still done a 21.6, but he's pulled over the side of the circuit. Johnny on his way to the last turn, so this is not going to be a truly representative lap for him, but Drew's going to wind himself up and have another crack. Greg Nangle, he's currently 5th with a 22.4, excuse me.
Oh, Will Devonish just spun on his lap.
Brock Harvey just smoking all tyres into the S's in 6th, so he's 1.1 seconds off the pace. Will Devonish parked in the garage. He's marked up in 7th.
Yes, he caught up to Kingshot, who had a moment on his lap, and then spun it in the penultimate corner.
Oh, wonderful. Heath Dixon, his best lap so far is a 22.6. He's going to look to wind up, and he was one of that gaggle of cars that was in that 22 bracket where a lot of guys were very, very close in qualifying 1. Just over 4 minutes remaining for him to set another lap. Derpy Dan's moved up, so he was 13th last time we checked. He's now moved up to 9th in that purple and white number 33 car. Greg Tara's down the board a little bit. He's in 10th on the run up through 3 and up to turn 4 right now. I apologise if you can hear some incessant meowing in the background. That is one of my cats who's not very happy.
Wants your attention, Nether.
Wants everybody's attention.
Bit of clear track. Rounding turn 1 on my outlap.
Just having a look at the on-track map. There's not really many people that are on top of each other according to the live timing.
Doing a good job of spacing everyone out.
Everyone's doing a relatively good job at the minute. There's Matt Williams on screen. He's currently sitting in 11th. He's smoking the wheels here into turn number 9 and turn 10. The tricky braking zone on the way into that series of S's. And he's not that far off his PB, but we're not going to make an improvement on this lap. Here's Stairs. Moved up the order from qualifying last time, so found a little bit of pace. He's on a 23.0.
Definitely more time in that.
Definitely more time in that. And
it was 9th when I crossed the line, I think, and dropped down to 13th in no time at all, such as the size of this lobby and the times people are setting. They're very close.
They are close, and the track is ever improving. Maloney's now dipped down into the 1 minute 21.1, so he's nearly 4 tenths clear of Hobbo on a 21.5, and there's only 2 minutes left. So if anybody wants to, basically, if you're not on track in the next 30 seconds, you are pretty much done for this session. And there are a few guys parked already. So Maloney's parked, so too is Tara, Devonish, Keane, Aussie, and Walsh. They're all parked, so they're not coming out for any more laps anytime soon. Here's Baker. Baker on the run to the start-finish line. Can he improve his time? No, he does not. He's one of those guys that red hot on Stairs' tail. Only separated by 14 hundredths of a second, Baker and Stairs. Baker, another representative from the ARW guys. Lee Sanford making time on his lap. Just leaves a little rooster tailing away there as we see Matt Williams in the background gallivanting across the grass on the exit of turn 5.
Oh, I've just had a moment. That probably lost me 3 or 4 tenths.
David King shot in the other purple 33 car on the run up to turns 9 and 10. Grant English, this is not going to be representative time. So I've only got just under a minute left in this session.
Time for one more lap from myself.
Yep, if you are coming to the line in the next 45 seconds, you will have an opportunity to set another lap if you have enough fuel and enough stickiness in your tyre.
Oh, and I've completely fucked turn 1. Sorry, I've completely made a hash of turn 1.
You made a right hash of turn 1 and end of your verbiage.
That's it. So I will finish, drop back to 15th in that. I reckon.
Just see Hobbo go to the top. Hobbo's gone to the top and parked it. He's done a 1:21.123. He has cleared Jake Maloney by 2 hundredths of a second, or 21 hundredths of a second. So that won't please Maloney. He parked himself thinking that he had it done. Corey Ott improves his time, not by much. And he's on a 21.6, so he'll wind up third on the grid at this stage, unless somebody else can improve. Johnny, the only man who can improve, but he's some 35, 3.5 tenths of his time, and he's done as well.
Indeed, and
who's still on track?
That means I've dropped back to 16th with that, so not a great deal better than my first effort. Everyone's improving.
Greg Nangle does a 22.1 that lap, so his best one of a 21.9 stands. Who else have we got sitting on track that's coming down to finish a lap? Brock Harvey's in 9th. He's on a lap at the minute, but not terribly close to what his best lap time is. Who else we still got on track? We've got Greg Turra is still on track. So too.
A shout out to David Keane, who says he's watching the live stream while he waits. So, g'day, David Keane. Hopefully, I don't stuff up your race.
Yes, and that is all. I think is Greg Turra still on the circuit. I think. Yes, he is. So Turra's just coming through the last 2 turns now. He's on the main straight. Can he improve this time? We haven't seen what the splits are. He's currently 11th. And he goes up to 8th, so a last-minute improvement for Greg Turra, and that jumps him above Dwayne Davies and Brock Harvey and knocks those guys down another spot. So, a very, very late time there.
Indeed, he's ever improving. We saw the pace that he had last week in Sandown, and obviously late to practice, so didn't get quite as much running in this track that he would have liked. But that speed, like riding a bike for old mate Greg Turra, he's finding it back in droves.
Absolutely. And
I'm realising how I probably should have made a visit to the bathroom before this. But nevertheless, we will push on.
We will push on. It's only a 20-minute race. Hold it in.
Hold it indeed. So taking to the grid about 40 seconds away. Once again, reminded of just how bloody tight this grid is. And we saw what happened on the first race. Cars going somehow sideways before we even got to turn 1. So that was hopefully something that we don't see in this race.
Hopefully not.
Or maybe, hopefully, if it is something that happens, it's not something that I get myself caught up in.
We're just waiting for the last few cars to come onto track. There they are. Someone flashing their lights. Obviously, they're keen to get going. We can't see who.
I think that might have been David Keane. It was someone behind me.
Almighty. But this time it's a swapping of positions. It's Hobbo from the pole.
Oh, I've jumped the start somehow. I forgot the clutch button.
The lights are out.
Go, go, go.
I think I've got away with it.
Very clean start this time. Hobbo got a very good launch. He's on his way down to turn 1. He won't have battle in his hands this time. But it is a gaggle of cars. Look at this. Are they even going to give each other enough room? Or are we going to see a repeat of what happened last time? And
I think they've got through cleanly. It was terrifying to witness.
Oh, there's a little bit of push and shove with Devonish and one of the 80, and it looks like it might have been Dwayne Davies. But and Matt Williams going out on the grass there, and a little bit of there's a bit of a knock. Baker had a bit of a knock of Brock Harvey there as they all make their way. And Dwayne Davies just getting a bit of a bump and going deep at turn number 4. He got a little bit of help there. But we're just looking through the field just to make sure that nobody has come to grief. And fortunately, it's a much cleaner start than what the race start was last race.
Oh, dearie me.
And we're looking back through the field. It's still a gaggle of cars here.
Certainly wishing I'd put my spotter on.
Brock Harvey. Oh, smoke ahead. Who's that smoking up a storm there? One of the 82 cars is David Keane.
You'll never believe who's directly ahead of me. The same guy with Dwayne Davies, who's just gone wide in the penultimate corner and given me a bit of a look, maybe, up into the final corner.
And as we return to the front here just to see what's going on, so Hobbo leads, Maloney's tucked in behind, so too Corey Ott, Greg Nangle's just keeping tabs on what's going on here.
Oh, someone's gone off the final corner. I didn't see who that was.
And we're looking to see who's gone off at the final corner, and it looks like it's Aussie according to the timing screen and the track map. Is it Aussie? It is, no, it's Boak, sorry, Boak. It's a bit of an overlay there, but it's Philip Boak who is right at the very back and struggling to catch up now. Now, Hobbo, 88, he's doing his best to hold off Jake Maloney here. Corey Ott's also under the rear wing of the second place Porsche. We're going to stay with this battle for a little bit because it was absolutely scintillating in race 1 between all of these guys. Hobbo basically driving in his mirrors to keep Maloney behind. You won't be able to pass him through here. This is turn 7. That's a flat out right-hander.
Derpy Dan making the position up on Brock Harvey.
And
for 14th, so it's 14th and 13th place there.
14th and 13th is correct. And Greg Nangle's keeping tabs on this. There's a lead, and Johnny's actually trying to keep in touch. Heath Dixon just dropping away a little bit, but this could be an interesting battle now. Lap 2 is about to be in the books for these leaders, and they've got another 13 to go. Hobbo's just trying to stretch away, but on the main straight, he just seems to lose a little bit of time to that number 42 car of Maloney behind him, and closes right up on the race here. Oh, a little bit of brake locking for Hobbo, and missed the apex entirely at turn 2. Gives the man behind him a little bit of a run.
Oh, there's smoke. Okay, there's dirt. Someone's off at turn 1. It's Grant English.
And is English at turn 1? That is correct. We can see that from the timing screens here. And Hobbo and Maloney still
Nice move, Brock Harvey
at each other's throats here.
It's a huge battle here, and this is all for 10th, 9th, 8th. Incredible.
Let's see if they can navigate this safely.
Oh, too much curb.
Going defensive into turn 9, now into turn 10. Getting plenty of airtime.
Oh, and someone's down my inside. They're going to take someone out. No, they're not. Grant English has somehow recovered.
Now this is where Jake Maloney's been strong. Off of the last turn, he seems to get all sorts of an advantage from those last 2 turns. Gets a much better exit. And you can see on the timing screen, he's closing in, closing, forever closing in. He needs to be a little bit closer than that if he wants to have a nibble into turn number 1. But we're going to cycle back through the field here. We're going to see any other battles that are going on up and down the field. And look at this gaggle of cars. It's headed by David Kingshot. He's got Kingshot, he's got Baker, Derpy Dan, Brock Harvey, and Grant English. They're all under here.
Keen's spinning in front of me, and so is English.
Yes, and there's a massive...
I'm the car that made it through without spinning, and there's a car up my inside in turn 2, but he's backed out of it. It's Dwayne Davies.
Yes, and Grant English, you're right. Just as we heard that from his stairs, we cut down to the picture just to see what was going on, and English recovers. He's gone right to the back of the pack just about. He's down to 20th, and there are some fantastic battles going on. So we go back to the top here. Kingshot heading up a 3 or 4 car train. These guys are also going to be playing for keeps. Maloney has gotten past. We get reports here that Maloney's gotten past Hobbo, and he has. We didn't see where he did it, but he's not done it on the usual run to turn number 1, where he did his passing manoeuvre in the last race to take what was first place then and the eventual race victory. But now that he's got an exit, you'll see he can just maintain the status quo, and he does a 21.3 for a fast lap. So obviously he gained a massive amount of time somewhere on the circuit, or Hobbo made a mistake and let him through. But we cut away from that action before we could actually see the passing manoeuvre. But now Hobbo's got a battle on. He doesn't want to let that number 42 car get away. Elsewhere, Corey Ott is just dropped back a little bit from those leading 2. He's got Greg Nangle for company, keeping him honest.
Derpy Dan's just had a moment at turn 1, dropped off the back of Brock Harvey.
You can see on your timing screen there, Philip Boak has had a drive-through penalty issued by race control for him. He did stop. He's actually just exited the pits, so no doubt that's
disappointing for him.
No doubt that's a pit lane speeding offence. He's looks like he's gone a lap down as well.
Disappointing for him.
And all of that. Johnny's keeping his nose clean here as he locks up going to theirs, being chased by Heath Dixon. So Dixon losing a bit of time to him at the moment. Greg Tara driving a lonely race at the moment, so he's a couple of seconds back of Dixon. He's got...
Well, Derpy Dan with a moment at the chicane.
He's got daytime between him and Kingshot, and the the train that seems to have just lost Derpy Dan at the minute, but as we cycle back, you can see that Stairs has got a having a bit of a look here at Derpy Dan. Under the
Oh, and he's locked up.
He's gone wide.
We're going to be side by side out of the final corner.
But Stairs has got the high ground, and Derpy Dan's going to try and get the slipstream here. There he is.
Certainly will.
And we'll watch with interest to see what happens here. Is he going to make a move? He pulls out, but does he think better of it? He does back out of it, and Stairs takes the position. So Stairs up to 11th place.
Just a tantalising group up ahead. We've got Brock Harvey, Baker and David Kingshot, I believe, in that group.
That is correct, and it is headed up by David Kingshot, but Brock Harvey getting up underneath on the inside of the exit of turn 4 here, but Baker's got the high ground here for turn number 5.
This is all helping
Harvey
Stairs.
runs the tails in the grass, and but somehow, and he goes deep, he's on the marbles. Baker back up the inside. Fantastic bit of racing, these two giving each other space. Harvey takes the position as they come up through the left-hander here, turn 8, now into turn 9 and 10 through the S's, and that is the position secured for Brock Harvey. He's up to 9th. Rooster tails and leaves a bit more on the exit, and Stairs has actually closed in after all of this is said and done, because of a little bit of battling that was going on. So this train is possibly going to get a little bit bigger, because Stairs is bringing with him Derpy Dan, so we could end up with a 5-car train if they get themselves in order. Dwayne Davies just sitting off the back of that. He's not as quick as the guys ahead, but with all the squabbling that's going up on ahead, could very well give him an opportunity to catch on to the back of that train as well.
I think we just had a moment for Baker. I saw him wiggle in turn 1.
Yes, he's just lost touch with Brock Harvey here after that little bit of battle on that last lap. Harvey still is in the dirt, and everyone locking up the brakes into turn 4 at Miolo as they...
Such a long corner.
It is a very long corner as it switches back 180 degrees on itself. It's not a typical hairpin. It's a very, about a medium speed corner, but you've got to get it right. This is the hairpin.
Oh, Baker's gone wide, so is Stairs.
Inside of the grass. I was just trying to see if I could see who it was, but we've cut away from that shot now.
Yep,
so
I made up a position there.
So if you've made up a position, I'm just trying to work out who it was. It looks like it was possibly Greg Nangle, because he's reporting as retired. So
disappointing for him.
Very disappointing. He was up in 4th place and doing extremely well behind Corey Ott. Must have just made a mistake somewhere, but everybody moves forward. 1 position. Greg Turra now occupies 5th place. He's got Heath Dixon ahead. He's trying to close in on him. The gap is 2.1 seconds, so that means Dixon's up to 4th. But there's daylight between him and Corey Ott at the moment for 3rd place. So he's just trying to keep his nose clean here from young Dixon after what happened to him last race, where he ran out of tyres at the end. He was in a solid position and just ran out of boots at the end of that race.
Just made up the position on Baker there. Turn 1.
There we go. So right you are. You've moved forward to 9th place for Stairs. Baker tucks in behind. In behind him is Derpy Dan. So this little 3-car gaggle pushing on towards turn 6. And just ahead of them, Brock Harvey, David Kingshot. And Johnny's dropped back a little bit here as well. So he is, someone leaves a cloud of dust ahead.
Greg Nangle's retired.
Nangle, having retired, has moved down the order, but he's marked as 20th. Boak will overtake him eventually when we get to him getting his lap back from him. But just return this battle up front. Maloney has lost out somewhere around the track to Hobbo. Hobbo's come back at him and retaken first. We didn't see where it happened, but it has happened. And now Maloney's got to get the pass done all over again. These guys had a very clean battle in race number 1, where there was only 1 exchange of position, and then that was done and dusted for that race. Maloney went on to win and win comfortably, as we see Maloney pull out from behind the car ahead of him, looking for a move, looking for an opportunity. He's gnawing away on the back bumper. He'll almost be eating it for dinner at this rate. He's that close. But Hobbo maintains his advantage on the run through turn 8. Now the left-hander for turn 9 and the right-hander for turn 10 at the S's, and now this other right-hander. It's only half a second between those guys. Maloney's just dropped back a touch. Can he get the slingshot out of the last 2 turns, which he's been so good on all night long, all day long if you're going off the wonderful daylight on the server. But no, Hobbo's actually stretching his advantage down the straight.
Oh, and Kingshot spun. Kingshot spun at the chicane there in front of Brock Harvey.
There he is. He's recovering to track now. Oh, just recovered to the track just as Dwayne Davies shot past. That's a very, very unsafe rejoin.
Oh, and Brock Harvey at the final corner. And
he has.
Goodness gracious.
Harvey's gone. What's happened to Harvey? He's parked in the middle of the track.
Final corner. He spun it out of there.
He has retired. That moves Dwayne Davies up to 10th. What on earth happened to Brock Harvey? What did you see, Stairs?
I saw me spinning at turn 1 after all that. Goodness gracious me. This is not ideal. Try and safely rejoin, hopefully.
And there's our wonderful...
I've only lost 2 positions. Someone spun in front of me. It's Dwayne Davies. Behind me, sorry.
In behind you. He has spun according to our screens, but if you can tell us what you saw of Brock Harvey, it looked like he had an absolute pants-shitting moment.
Yeah, out of that final corner, he just looks like he lit up the rears. The tyres giving up a little bit less grip, or giving him less grip than he expected them to, and I was up into 7th momentarily, but back down to 9th after I had my own pants-shitting moment, not 10 seconds later.
Oh dear. Well, you keep trucking away there, because we're going to rejoin this battle, and at turn on the run to turn number 1, Hobbo's still holding off Jake Maloney behind him, who has another little look at turn 1. This is lap 11, so they've got 5 laps to complete before this race is over. But this battle at front certainly is not over. Corey-Ott is got daylight between him and this leading duo.
I think Baker and Derpy Dam are side by side going into turn 1 by the looks of it.
Let's have a look down the field. We're going the wrong way on our stream, but they look like they were. But Derpy Dan has gotten ahead of Baker, according to our on-screen visuals here. And
hopefully they can hold each other up a little bit more so I can catch back up to them, because it was a fun battle with them.
As we have a look through the field here, Greg Turra got the lights on. He's trying to hunt down Heath Dixon. The Dixon's up into 4th place, but he's not making any ground on Corey-Ott at the moment. Corey-Ott just watching these 2 guys out front just disappear ahead of him. Jake Maloney looking for another thing. Oh, and Hobbo's gone wide at the last turn. These guys are side by side down the main straight. We've rejoined at an appropriate time. There's overlap, and Jake Maloney has got alongside. He's drawn alongside. Is he going to? Who's going to yield? Are either of them going to yield, or is it going to be a calamity? They're going side by side into turn 1, and forces Hobbo to go wide. They're giving each other room. Great racing. And Jake Maloney just got his nose in front, and he's got it in front for turn 3. He had to make that stick there. Hobbo definitely couldn't have closed down on him through turn 3. And now through 4. Oh, Hobbo's had a moment. Hobbo just had a little moment on the wiggly. He managed to save it, but he's...
Going into turn 1, Baker and Derpy are also side by side once more.
And Hobbo had an absolute fistful of opposite lock at the exit of turn 4, and a little wiggle there for Jake Maloney, but Maloney's now going to run away, he hopes, by the sound of things. And there's 3.5 laps to go. Can Hobbo get back onto the back of him? Or as we see one of the Bob Jane T-Mark cars going through the grass, that looks like it is possibly Brian Walsh. It is Brian Walsh in the 777. So he's now gone down a lap. But the battle may be over with 3 laps to go for first place if Hobbo can't put in a few stonking laps and catch back up. These tyres on these cars will be starting to hurt. So
look like we're about to sorry to interrupt you there, Nether. We're ramping up for round 3 of Derpy Dan versus Nether as they go into the final corner.
Derpy Dan versus Baker, right you are. And Baker holding station through this last turn. Derpy Dan not quite close enough by the look of it to get a slipstream or any chance down into turn number 1. Stairs just sitting back here, hoping these guys can give him a little sniff. Oh, and then we lost Baker.
Oh no, was that
moment.
was that contact?
No, I don't think it was contact. It didn't look like it was contact. I didn't see another
Tank
car
slapper.
there. It could have been a bit of a tank slapper, but at the end of the day, it's Baker who tours the grass at turn 1. And
and Derpy Dan's wide. I think he's going to pull it up though.
Yeah.
And someone's up behind me. It's Kingshot's catching up too.
David Kingshot is catching up. Lee Sanford occupies the 10th place at the moment.
There's a Bob Jane T-Mark car on the infield there. I think it's Johnny.
It is Johnny.
And Derpy Dan's going to catch him.
It is Johnny. We've just cut back to him just from recovering from the infield of the track. He was having a bit of a lonely old race in 6th, but this now makes him want to drive in his mirrors for the next 2 laps. He's got a bit of a battle on his hands to keep Derpy Dan and Stairs behind him. And we're just looking at our timing screens to see if Maloney and Hobbo are closing in on each other again, and it looks like that has maintained position a minute before, and Johnny having another wiggle, and is that going to give these guys a sniff?
Double slipstream here.
They're too far back from the back of Johnny to get...
They are. Johnny's doing the old Rambo line, the Hamilton jink from one side to the other. Hopefully it won't distract us.
He's into turn 1 here.
Oh, and it looks like I'm up the inside here. Yep. Can I hold it? He's round my outside. I'm going to give him room, obviously. But will I be able to do this? Cut one flat like I have before. I need to... He's backed out of it.
He backed out of it. Derpy Dan gave Stairs the room.
And Johnny giving me a smoke screen. I'm up into 7th. Can I get 6th? Oh, it's all kicking off here, isn't it?
It is all kicking off. Let's have a return to the front of the pack. Oh, as we've seen... Who's that? No, it wasn't. We thought it might have been Corey Ott for a minute touring the grass, but it's not. It was the other 82 car of David Keane touring the grass just between turns 11 and 12. Corey Ott's had a little bit of a lonely old race watching the 2 ahead of him just kick on. Maloney's now got a 1.3 second advantage as the final lap commences. And this battle's now closed in a little bit. Heath Dixon's just been maintaining a steady pace, but Tara's been trying to catch him. Those lights on, and he's 1.4 seconds, but he's not going away, Greg Tara. He's just hoping that Heath might make the same mistake that he made in the last race, but young Heath will be looking at his dashboard going... Oh
no, and I've underfueled. I'm out of fuel here.
Are you serious?
At the start of the last lap. And I'm coughing.
It's a slow lap. It's a slow.
I'm completely out of fuel.
17. And he's just going to be able to have to tour it in and hope that he can get around. But
it's no chance. The engine's dead. It's just coughed. I didn't realise. I must have forgotten to put the fuel back up, and that is desperate luck because I was up into 7th place there with a good chance of 6th. So, well. We're living fight for another day, I suppose.
There's a shame is Derpy Dan's joy. Derpy Dan moves up to 7th. Jake Maloney just backing off a little bit on this last lap. He's going to take race number 2, so it's back-to-back wins and a round win for Jake Maloney. He crosses the line first, Hobbo 2nd, and Corey Ott takes 3rd. Heath Dixon is managing to hang on here through the last 2 turns. Greg Tara couldn't quite get close enough, and that's going to be a wonderful 4th place result for Heath Dixon. Probably his best finish in the Super Series so far.
Nice job, Heath Dixon.
And Greg Tara finishes 5th. Johnny.
What a race. That was incredible.
Johnny for Bob Jane T-Mars number 77 at a little bit of a moment on the exit of the last turn. And he comes down to finish 6th. It'll be Derpy Dan for 7th. David Kingshot in the other 33 purple and white car will finish 8th. He kept his nose clean for a change. Lee Sanford promoted up to 9th with unfortunate misfortune of Stairs. Rounding out the top 10 is Matt Williams. Then we've got Will Devonish, and he's been chased by Grant English, 11th and 12th. Dwayne Davies, the 13th. Baker will finish 14th. He was well up the order for a little while, and unfortunately a couple laps from home had a little incident at turn number 1, which dropped him a bunch of positions. And Aussie now the last man to cross the line He's 15th, and the remaining guys behind have been lapped or have not finished.
Well, we hope we'll be able to have a chat with Heath Dixon after his best result in this particular championship, and what was looking like it was going to be my best result. Up until that stage, I had targeted the top 10, and I was well up there before my miscalculation came to bite me in the arse, which incidentally is something that Heath Dixon is known for doing every now and then, but not on this particular occasion.
Not on this occasion. But your race 2 winner is Jake Maloney yet again, and the top 3 are the same, I believe, in a different order this time, because it's Maloney from Hobbo 88 and Corey Ott. So the same 3 guys that occupied the podium positions in the last race occupied the positions in this race as well. And for us, that is the end of tonight's Super Series races. Hope you enjoyed watching, and unless we get any appearance from Heath Dixon in the next couple of minutes, I think that is us done for the night. What do you think, Stairs? How'd you like your first encounter in the Super Series?
Yeah, it's very interesting. It certainly rewards people who stay on the track, which, having witnessed 2 of the races so far, that was my strategy going in, considering I had no pace at all. But I certainly did gradually begin to learn what I could and can't do around the track, and realised that in the first race I hadn't actually put on fresh tyres from the start, so that certainly came back to bite me in the first race. Fresh tyres in the second race certainly made a difference. And just keeping it clean had me well inside the top 10 before I ran out of fuel.
And the track evolution did go up a little bit over the course of that race as well, so probably helped the tyre wear just a little bit, not quite enough, but just a little bit. And we didn't have as many retirements that race, but we still did see quite a lot of people touring the infield throughout that race. What was your experience battling away with some of those guys squabbling in very, very close proximity to each other?
Yes, it was quite scary at times, because I think one moment that I'd like to go back and watch again was when I was heading through turn 1 and 2 cars spun in front of me, and avoiding them while trying not to spin myself was really quite a desperate moment, one might say, but I got through that and lived to tell the tale.
Well, it doesn't sound like Heath Dixon is with us at the moment, so...
No, Heath is here.
Oh, Heath
has made it into the box.
Heath has made it into the box.
Well, Heathy, congratulations on your best result in the AMS Oz Super Series.
Thank you. I've said to my compatriots across that line, I've never been so happy for 4th.
It was a bit of a lonely 4th, wasn't it?
You had to fight for it.
You had to fight late. You had Greg Turra closing in on you towards the end of that stint. But you had the lights on, but it was daylight between you and that leading trio. That leading trio just seemed to check out, and those positions were secure pretty much from the minute that the green flag dropped.
Yeah, they're all... I know at least 2 of them are the V8 Scops online guys. So they're big-time sim racers. I don't know about... what was the guy who came first?
Jake Maloney. Jake Maloney.
I don't know what his deal is, but he's obviously got some pace.
He's definitely got some pace from what we saw. He was the only man during quali. He only did it in qualifying 1 to dip in under the 1:21 barrier. He did a 20.9, so that
I missed
that was in qualifying 1. His qualifying 2 was a 21.1, but he got supplanted by Hobbo on qualifying 2 by 32 hundredths. So
right, okay.
Very, very, very close between them, but both of those guys have definitely got some pace.
You won't mind me telling you, I've got to go have a word to my pit stop guys. I've started the race with the same tyres that I qualified on.
Oh.
Yes, I came a cropper with that in the first race and led to a spin at turn 1.
So on lap 2 or 3, whatever it was, and I realised that my tyres were down to 85%. I thought, hang on, there's something not right here. Yes, I've not gone on fresh tyres. So
so they're making the job even harder for yourself.
I just trying to stay ahead of Greg there, of GTAS, and that's why I said I've never been so happy to get 4th, because I had to work for that.
It sounds like you absolutely did.
Indeedly. Just getting some word in from Brian Walsh. He's just been dumped on Tinder, but on the upside for him, he could be Steve Smith.
Oh dear, and we won't go into that very much, will we? Because we know that that's an absolute farce at the moment.
It's a minefield.
It is. Well,
Yes.
that is us done for Super Series tonight, and thank you very much to everybody for watching, and for those that took part, and for those that are going to watch the stream later. We will see you next time.